Some men find out by accident, a slip-up in a text message, a receipt in a purse, a suspicious charge on a credit card. Others walking in on it, their entire world shattering in an instant. Not me. I knew before I saw anything, before there was proof, before I had the undeniable confirmation. It wasn't a single moment, but a collection of them, tiny fractures in the foundation of what I thought was a solid marriage. Her laugh wasn't the same, was lighter when she texted late at night, heavier when I walked into the room. She smelled. Different, not like perfume, but like places I'd never been. The way she looked at me changed too. First I thought I was imagining it, that I was being paranoid, but deep down, a man knows when his woman has started pulling away. I watched. The distance between us grew day by day. She became meticulous about her phone, taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. I tested her in little ways, asked her to go on spontaneous dates. She always had an excuse. Work, exhaustion, headaches. So, I did what any man with self-respect would do. Stopped asking, and yet I couldn't bring myself to confront her outright. Not yet. I needed to see it for myself. Needed to confirm what my gut had been screaming at me. One night, I told her I had a late meeting, that I'd be home around midnight. She barely looked up from her phone, just muttered an, "Okay, be safe," and went back to texting. She didn't ask what time, didn't ask what the meeting was about. She didn't care. That was my answer. I left, but I didn't go far. I parked a few blocks away and waited 37 minutes. That's how long it took. I watched her leave the house, dressed differently than she had been earlier. She got into her car, driving away in the opposite direction of anywhere she needed to be. Didn't follow. I didn't need to. Some men would have stormed after her, caught her in the act, demanded answers, but I had nothing left to ask. I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, feeling something inside me shift. I wasn't going to yell, I wasn't going to cry. I was going to leave, but not before making sure she felt every second of what was coming next. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Sitting in my car, watching the taillights of her car disappear into the night, I felt something cold settle inside me. Not anger, not grief, just clarity. Man always hopes, right up until the moment he doesn't. And I was done hoping. Instead of driving back, I booked a room at a small, nondescript hotel on the outskirts of town. Not because I had nowhere else to go, but because I wanted a place to think, to sit in silence and let reality sink in without the walls of my own home suffocating me. I needed to be somewhere that wasn't tainted by her lies. I lay on the stiff mattress, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything, the late nights, the distant glances, the way she stopped saying, "I love you first." It had been slipping away for months, maybe years, and I'd been too blind, or maybe too trusting, to see it for what it was. I let her weave the illusion that everything was fine because it was easier than admitting the truth. That illusion shattered. The second she walked out that door, in the dim glow of the hotel lamp, I unlocked my phone and scrolled through our messages. They were short, surface level. "Pick up some milk. I'll be home late. Did you take the dog out?" No heart emojis. No playful banter. Just the kind of communication that people have when they're coexisting, not loving. I clicked on her contact and hovered my thumb over the call button. I could call her, ask her where she was, pretend to be clueless, make her lie to me outright. But why? She had already chosen her side. The only thing left was for me to choose mine. Instead, I opened my email and started making arrangements. A lawyer, a realtor, a storage unit. If she wanted a new life, I'd give her one, just not the way she expected. Morning came, and with it, the dull ache of knowing that the woman I had built a life with was somewhere else doing God knows what with God knows who. But here's the thing. Pain loses its sting when you stop letting it control you. I got in my car, drove back to the house, and walked inside as if everything were normal. Her scent still lingered in the air, mixed with the faint trace of that unfamiliar cologne. Her keys were on the counter, her shoes neatly by the door, as if she'd never left. She was in the shower when I stepped into the bedroom. Her phone, normally glued to her side, was lying face down on the nightstand. Unlocked. A gift. I didn't hesitate. I picked it up, thumbed through messages, and found exactly what I knew I would: confirmation. The last illusion was gone. I stood there, gripping her phone, staring at the proof I'd been waiting for. The messages weren't even well hidden. No fake names, no innocent cover stories, just raw, unfiltered betrayal. Last night was amazing. I can't wait to see you again. He doesn't suspect a thing. The last one stung more than anything else. The sheer confidence in it, the certainty that I was too blind, too naive to realize what was happening right in front of me. She thought I was a fool. That alone was enough to make my blood run cold. I heard the shower water shut off. A few seconds later, the bathroom door creaked open. And there she was, wrapped in a towel, steam curling around her like she was stepping out of some dream. But to me, she looked like a stranger. "Hey," she said casually, running a hand through her damp hair. "You're home early." She didn't even flinch, didn't hesitate. Her voice was light, smooth. If I hadn't just read her messages, I might have believed she was happy to see me. I didn't respond right away. I just set her phone down on the nightstand. Right where I found it. She watched me, waiting, maybe sensing that something was off, but not enough to panic. "Not yet. I had an early meeting," I finally said. A lie, but then again she'd been lying to me for God knows how long. She smiled. "I was thinking we could go out for dinner tonight. We haven't had a real date night in a while." A real date night. Unbelievable. Almost laughed almost. But instead I nodded. "Yeah, sounds good." She beamed, completely unaware that I knew that I had seen everything. And that's when I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to let her think she had won. For the next week, I played my role perfectly. As the devoted husband, the loving partner. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings, sent her texts throughout the day, asked about her work, her friends, her plans, and she ate it up. Whatever guilt she might have had, if she had any at all, was buried beneath the comfort of believing I was still clueless. At night, she'd curl up next to me like nothing was wrong, and I let her, because I had a plan. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to disappear. Everything she thought she knew about me, about us, was about to shatter. I've always believed that real power doesn't come from loud words or angry outbursts. It comes from control. The kind of control that makes people uneasy because they don't see it coming. I had spent years of my life giving everything to a woman who threw it away without a second thought, but I wasn't going to let her see me break. I was going to let her think she had one right up until the moment she realized she had nothing. Left, the first step. Distance. I started working late. Not actually working, of course. I was busy setting up my escape. I withdrew cash in small amounts, just enough to avoid suspicion, but enough to make a difference when the time came. I slowly started moving important documents out of the house. My birth certificate, my passport, bank statements, anything I might need when I left for good, she noticed eventually. One night as she scrolled on her phone in bed, probably texting him, she looked up at me. "You've been staying late a lot. Everything okay at work?" Her voice was light, casual, but I saw it for what it was. She was checking to see if I was starting to suspect anything, if I was asking questions. I just smiled. "Yeah, just busy. You know how it is." And just like that, she went back to her phone. That was the moment I realized something. She didn't love me. Not anymore? Maybe not ever. Because a woman who loves you knows when you're lying. She knows when something is off. She asks questions, digs deeper, pulls you close instead of letting you slip away. But she didn't even hesitate. That night, as she drifted off to sleep beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to take everything she thought was hers and walk away without a word. The second step. Preparation. I started selling things, little things at first. Things she wouldn't notice right away. A watch she bought me but never paid attention to. Some expensive tools in the garage, even a few pieces of furniture we never used. The money went into a separate account, one she didn't know about. I also found a new place, a small apartment in another part of town, paid in advance, under a name she wouldn't recognize. I kept the key hidden, waiting for the right moment. And then came the final step. The night before I left, I cooked dinner, A real home-cooked meal, just like I used to when things were good between us. She smiled across the table, oblivious. Thinking she had me wrapped around her finger, she didn't realize that this was the last night we would ever sit together like this. She went to bed early. I stayed up watching her sleep for a moment before I turned away. There was no sadness left in me, no grief, no hesitation, just quiet certainty. I packed my bags in silence, took only what I needed, left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter right next to her phone, and without a single word, I walked out the door. I sat on the edge of my bed in my new apartment, staring at her phone. I shouldn't have opened it, but when your instincts already know the truth, the final proof is just confirmation. The messages weren't hidden. There were no long explanations, no signs of hesitation. They were casual, effortless, almost indifferent. Yesterday was interesting. Glad it all worked out. Hope we can see each other again soon. It doesn't seem to notice anything, so everything's fine for now. Short sentences, simple words, no guilt, no second thoughts, just the kind of messages you send when you don't think you'll ever get caught. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I was. Holding this was it, the final piece of the puzzle. Not that I needed one. The moment she walked out that door weeks ago, I had already known. I placed the phone back exactly where I found it, as if nothing had happened. Then I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked out of that house for the last time. I didn't need to confront her. I didn't need an argument. I just needed to be done. She didn't give up after that first call, not even close. The next morning I woke up to a string of missed calls and a series of texts, each one shifting in tone as she tried to figure out how to reel me back in. We need to talk. I don't understand what's going on. Are you okay? Then, when I didn't respond, the messages changed. Why are you being like this? At least be mature enough to tell me what's wrong. This is ridiculous. You're acting like a child. Ah, there it was, the mask slipping. The moment when she realized I wasn't playing the part she had written. For me, and it was starting to make her nervous, but I had no intention of responding. Instead, I went about my new life. My job didn't change, but my routine did. I stopped going to the places we used to go together, took a different route to work. If she was trying to track me down, she wasn't going to find me. I had erased myself from her world, and I could only imagine how much that was driving her. Insane. Then came the first real surprise. It happened a week after I left. I was coming home late, arms full of groceries, when I saw someone sitting on the floor outside my apartment door. She looked up as I approached, and for a brief moment, I almost didn't recognize her. She wasn't put together the way she usually was. No perfect hair, no carefully chosen outfit, just a hoodie, leggings, and a face that was tired, desperate. I sighed, shifting the bags in my arms. How did you find me? She stood up slowly, hugging herself. I remembered your old post office box. I checked your forwarding address. Smart. I had underestimated how determined she would be. Pushed past her and unlocked my door, stepping inside, but before I could close it, she stopped it with her hand. Please, she whispered. Just talk to me. I stared at her for a long moment. The woman standing in front of me wasn't the same one who had been sending flirty texts to another man a few weeks ago. But I wasn't stupid. I knew why she was really here. She wasn't here because she regretted what she did. She was here because she had lost control, and she hated that. I stepped aside, letting her in, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to see what her next move would be. Would she admit it? Would she even try? She walked in hesitantly, glancing around like she was stepping into unfamiliar territory. Because in a way, she was. This was my new life, one that she wasn't a part of. I set my groceries on the counter and leaned against it, arms crossed. Say what you need to say, she swallowed hard. I don't know what happened. One day everything was fine and the next you were gone. I let out a quiet laugh. You really believe that? She blinked. Believe what? That everything was fine. She hesitated, then looked down. I mean, we had problems, but every couple does. I didn't think you'd just leave like that. I studied her carefully, waiting. She was being careful with her words, tiptoeing around the truth. Yes, I gave. Her one last chance? Is there anything you want to tell me? Her lips parted slightly, her shoulders tensed. For a second, just a second, I thought she might do it, that she might actually admit it, but then she shook her head. I don't know what you mean, and that was all I needed to hear. I pushed away from the counter, walking to the door and opening it wide. Then we have nothing to talk about. She flinched, but she didn't move. That's it? That's all you're going to say? I met her eyes, and for the first time I saw it. Real fear. Not fear of losing me, but fear of losing what I had given. Her the life, the comfort, the security. She wasn't here to make things right. She was here to see if there was anything left for her to hold on to. Goodbye, I said simply. And this time, I was the one watching her walk away. She didn't come back that night. I have expected her to, maybe even hoped for it. Not because I wanted her back, but because I wanted to see how far she would go. I wanted to watch her scramble, watch her try to rewrite the story in real time. But when morning came and my door remained untouched, I knew she was recalibrating. That's the thing about people like her. They don't give up. They just change tactics. And sure enough, she did. It started with mutual friends. Casual messages. Checking in. I knew they weren't really checking in on me. They were gathering intel. Hey man, just wondering how you've been. Heard you and her are going through something. You okay? She's pretty torn up about all this. It's not my business, but maybe you two should talk. She seems really lost without you. I ignored them. Then she escalated. One evening my phone lit up with a notification. It wasn't a text or a call this time. It was an email, a long, carefully crafted letter. I hesitated before opening it, but in the end, curiosity won. She started with nostalgia. Do you remember our first apartment? The one with the leaky sink and the terrible neighbors. We used to laugh about how we'd never get any sleep there, and now all I want is one more sleepless night with you. I kept reading, already knowing where this was going. I don't know what happened to us. Maybe I got caught up in things that didn't matter. Maybe I forgot to appreciate what I had. But I miss you, and I wish I could take it all back. And then, of course, came the real reason for the message. I know I hurt you, but I never meant to. It was never serious. It didn't mean anything. Please, let's just talk. I set my phone down, exhaling slowly. There it was, the first real admission buried under layers of excuses. It wasn't serious. It didn't mean anything. Funny how she never mentioned that before. She wasn't apologizing for what she did. She was apologizing for the consequences. She had spent so long believing I would never leave that. When I finally did, it shook her in a way she wasn't prepared for. I let the email sit. No response. No reaction. And then, just as I expected, she showed up again. This time, she didn't wait outside. She knocked. When I opened the door, she was standing there in the same hoodie from last time, her hands stuffed into the pockets, her eyes red-rimmed. You didn't answer my email? She said softly. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. I read it. She swallowed. And I didn't answer. She shifted her weight, eyes darting past me as if trying to catch a glimpse of my life without her. Then she looked back at me, and I saw something new in her expression. Resentment. That's when I knew. She wasn't here to fix things. She was here to see if she still had power over me. She sighed. You're really going to do this, huh? Do what? Throw everything away like it meant nothing. That almost made me laugh. I'm not the one who threw it away, I said. Her jaw clenched. It was a mistake. I tilted my head, studying. Her. Which part? The lying or the cheating? She flinched. I told you it didn't mean anything. I nodded, and that's exactly why we're done. She stared at me, searching my face for some sign of weakness, some indication that she could still get to me. But there was nothing left for her to find. Shh. Exhaled sharply, then turned on her heel, walking away without another word. I watched her go, waiting for some kind of emotion to hit me, regret, sadness, anger, anything. But all I felt was relief. That night, after she walked away for the last time, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the ceiling. There was no dramatic ending, no fireworks, no final screaming match where all the ugly truth spilled out. just silence. And for the first time in a long time, that silence didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. I didn't check my phone. I didn't wonder if she would come back. I knew she wouldn't. Not because she had finally accepted what she did, but because she realized she had lost control. People like her don't stay where they have no power, and I had taken all of mine back. The next morning, I woke up feeling different, lighter. I went for a run before work, something I hadn't done in years. I bought myself breakfast at a small cafe, sat by the window, and watched the world move around me. Nobody knew me here. Nobody knew my story. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a man defined by betrayal. I just felt like a man who had a future ahead of him that didn't include deception, anxiety, or the weight of someone else's selfish choices. In the weeks that followed, life didn't just go on. It got better. I found new routines, new places, new people. I reconnected with old friends, the ones she had subtly pulled me away from over the years. I started focusing on myself, doing things because I wanted to, not because I was trying. To maintain a marriage that had already been dead long before I walked away. And one day, completely by accident, I met someone new. It wasn't some whirlwind romance, no dramatic rebound. It was a simple conversation at a bookstore, one that turned into a coffee, which turned into a long walk, which turned into laughter I hadn't realized I missed. She didn't ask about my past right away, and I didn't offer it. I wasn't defined by what had happened anymore. I wasn't carrying the weight of another person's mistakes. One evening, as we sat on a park bench watching the sunset, she turned to me and smiled. "You seem like someone who's been through a lot," she said, "but you don't look like someone who's stuck there." I thought about that for a long moment, then smiled back, because I'm not. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. I had left behind the betrayal, the lies, the empty words, and in doing so, I had found something